Okay, well, if you are seeing my face over in the bottom right corner, then everything is working fine. I tried to go live at the time I had scheduled an event for today, and it failed completely. So I am a little bit later than I originally intended to go live and in a different location. So, one of those days, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go live now and teach you guys a little bit of something about romance scams. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I got really appalled by all the bad advice you see everywhere. Even like places where you read articles and you think they know their stuff, right? Like they give the stupidest, easiest, simplest version of advice that it's laughable. So I wanted to make sure that we're not reading any more articles on catfishing scams, and I'm going to tell you exactly what all that is. It's going to be super layman terms because I'm super casual. So let's get started. My name is Shawn Davis, and I'm a licensed social worker, fancy word for counseling, and I tend to help people with relationship problems. And over the years, I've been doing that, been helping people who are single, married, it don't matter. I love relationships, and that's how it goes. Okay. So, when you're avoiding romance scams, let's go ahead and go into your little workbook here. And I'm going to download, I'll probably have to do this after the fact, but I'm going to give you guys a PDF version of this workbook so you'll have that with you. There's really not anything to fill out, so if you want to just follow along, then that's fine too. Okay, so catfishing is kind of one of those more like modern internet kind of terms. Sometimes people use the word millennial terms, and what that really describes is somebody who hides who they really are online. So it's like a mask, and they're doing that in order to try to scam you out of something. So it works a lot like those little telephone scams where somebody pretends to be a police officer or they pretend to be the Social Security Administration, and they're trying to scare you into doing whatever it is that they say. And so catfishing in its like intended term, that's what it's used to describe. But with TV shows like MTV's Catfish, there's also this kind of like concept of calling people who and unintentionally hide online. So people that might have low self-esteem problems, and they don't like tell you exactly what they do for a living, or they may not tell you exactly how they look, because they're ashamed of themselves. When we're talking about catfishing, we're not talking about the kind of like easier to fall in catfishing like self-esteem problems. In a way, we all can mislead people a little bit when we do our makeup, we do our hair, or for men, when you go to the gym and you're trying to bulk up and wear shirts that might, highlight certain parts of your body. That's, again, not catfishing at all, but it's a way that we do to try to enhance who we are a little bit. But so people who are having more issues, they may do more of that. So it's kind of like a big scale, and some of us do a little bit, some of us not at all, and other people might do it a lot, and other people might go to the further end of the extreme where they're really like trying to fool people. So today's talk is more about the malicious scams that you'll find. So we're not talking again about people with the self-esteem issues. We're talking about people who are really clever with this. So for today's talk, we're talking about actual romance scams that will end up wanting to try to take your retirement funds or your child's, college scholarship funds, and then they will run away so quickly. So a catfishing scam is somebody who intentionally hides online in order to try to scam you out of your money. And what you're going to do when you want to try to figure out if somebody is trying to scam you is you want to look for certain red flags. And if you have a lot of these red flags that we're talking about here, then you're going to have more of a situation that could be a scam than somebody that maybe just had one or two. So the first one and these are all like recommendations. Some of them are what the FBI recommends. Other things are just what different articles have published, and just what I've learned in my job with helping people. So it's a little bit of a combination of those. Most of these on this list here are the FBI ones. So the first one is don't get off the dating site super quickly. A scam is going to want to say, hey, I don't like talking on this. Let's go over here. And they might want to use an instant messaging kind of app, or just regular text messaging on the phone. So somebody who wants to get off the dating site immediately, that could be a red flag. People who use terms to make you feel more intimate than the stage you're really at. So let's say that you've only been talking to somebody for 3 days and they're already saying, oh, it feels like you're my soulmate. This seems like destiny. We're meant to be. That those are words that scammers will use to make you feel more secure than the situation really is. And when you start to dig for like details, they might, get aggressive or irritable, or even accuse you of not trusting them. When in actuality, these might be people we probably don't need to trust. Okay, so be careful of terms that, like fate and destiny and soulmate kind of stuff, because that could be a tool that they're using. Now, side note, it could also be innocent. So it just means that there's further investigations that we need to do. If somebody is saying that they're traveling out of the U.S. or they're estranged from the U.S. for a temporary reason, usually they're soldiers is the story that these people are giving. They say, I'm in Afghanistan and I'm so lonely and, I just need to talk to somebody from back home. That's a common one. Do not buy those lonely soldier stories, even though it could be innocent and that could be, the situation, but don't believe that story until that's really been verified. You really for sure know that they're in the military. They have a rank. You've seen their commander or something like that. So, remember that again, though, that these stories will kind of have these common themes, through all of them. So many of those scams will be living abroad. They're going to ask you for money. They're going to ask you for other kind of goods. So it could be like things to buy from a store for them because they can't, because they're living abroad kind of stuff. They may want your help with financial forms, opening bank accounts, any sort of financial transactions somebody's trying to get you to do for them. Do not do those things. Usually what will happen after they ease you into comfort is they're going to try to ask you to do these sorts of things. They'll have some sort of crisis that comes up and all of a sudden they're going to be kicked out of their home and they have no money and their kids are going to be hungry. These stories can be something to really pull on your heartstrings, because these are, again, people that are super, super clever and they know what people are going to react to. And if you hear a story of a single mom struggling and not able to make it, who wouldn't want to help out with that? It's something that touches our hearts. And the people that are going to scam you out of your dream are going to be people who don't care what you can lose. They don't care that you might get kicked out of your house because you're helping somebody. They don't care about any of that. Ultimately, though, their story is going to be larger than life. They're going to, it's going to seem like, maybe they're like an actress in Hollywood, or, they're getting a rising star in some other industry. But again, they're going to be these kind of larger than life stories where you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I totally want that baller life. So be careful of those stories that seem like they're like, super interesting. That might be a red flag. Being widowed, and again, I mentioned working overseas, so being widowed is another one of those common ones the FBI warns us against. And then people who suddenly will disappear and then reappear later can be one of those signs of people that are scamming. Because what's going on is they're not ghosting you and they're not, breadcrumbing you like a normal dating situation. You might see those sort of toxic dating patterns happen. These are people who they go off talking to other people because they're scamming other people, and they might be talking to 20 people all at one time. And if you look at the news story, some of the like real professional ones, they're talking to hundreds of people at a time. But what happens is you start to get too close, and then they just like drop the ball. Oh, I don't want anything to do with that, because they don't want to get caught. They don't want to go to jail. So again, that disappearing, and then all of a sudden they act like nothing's really happened. Be careful of those kind of things, because even if it's a real person, that behavior is probably not something that you really want, long term. Okay, so moving on to the next page, I wanted to give you a tip about reverse image searches. And when you try to search for your image online, so if you have a photo of yourself and you try to search for it online, Google, if you use Google, they're going to come back with a page of all the different pages that picture, that exact picture as it is, has been published online. Now, if somebody has stolen your picture and used it for a fake account, then that picture is going to come up on all these other profiles that you have nothing to do with. And so people know about this trick now because of, MTV's Catfish. They know about this trick. Everybody does that as their first step, right? But the problem is it can be faked. So somebody who has good photoshopping skills can take that picture, remove a background, change the hair color, do something significant that's different in that picture so that when the image search comes up, it's not going to find it anywhere. So even though you might be a super clever person and you're, trying to hunt these people down and find out who they really are, it could still fail. So I really recommend doing lots of different things so that you're not relying on any one or two tools so that you don't get fooled. Some quick tips on here. Again, I have a link for YouTube. This isn't my video, but just a video that I found that did a really good walkthrough on these reverse searches. So if you've never done one before, it's probably something you want to try to get a little bit more familiar with. But again, remember that they can be faked. I was able to fake my own picture really easily, just using a photo editing software, and took out the background, and that was it. And it faked it. So, but if you're with somebody who is kind of like more lackadaisical about like trying to trick people, so if they're kind of just, cutting and pasting pictures exactly, then you're going to catch those people. But the clever ones are the ones you're going to miss. And again, that's why I wanted to hop on live today to let you know that these catfishing scams have gotten super clever, and I wanted you guys to know that. So some tips the FBI recommends before we move on to some of the advanced tips that I have today is do not send money online. And I know that those clever stories we were talking about a few minutes ago, that, that single mom struggling to raise her kid because they're getting thrown out of their house and all these other things going on, is they're going to need money to survive, and they're going to ask you for that. So the FBI doesn't want you sending money online, and they really advise against wire transfers as a form of sending money. Anything that's like social networking, like Venmo kind of stuff, you're going to, again, have problems with getting your money back. So you want to do things that are backed by some sort of bank guarantee that you could, get your money back, maybe a check or something like that. But I'm not a financial advisor. So talk to your bank, talk to, your own financial advisors that you hire, and find out if you are considering sending, especially if it's a significant amount of money, talk to people first. Don't just rely on your gut feelings, because people have about a 50% failure rate at detecting lies. So this is why we need to have some objective tools, in our tool belt, so that we can save ourselves from these kind of things. All right, the rest of the tips here at the bottom: don't give out your credit card numbers, don't give out your bank account number, even if this is somebody you're thinking of marrying. If you have not, again, spent significant time with them in person, you want to kind of hold off on giving away that kind of stuff. And never give out your social security number, no matter what's going on. Just don't share that with people. Okay. All right, so the sites that are most prone to catfishing, this was something that in one of my polls that I did, you guys had said that you wanted to know what sites to kind of stay away from. So this is my list here of the sites that the catfishers are talking about themselves that they love to use. In fact, it's really crazy. But when they meet up on websites, is they will talk about and brag about how, oh yeah, you totally need Whisper, you totally need, all of these other sites because they're easy to fool people with. So these are the ones that I found two catfishers that were bragging about. And so these are the ones that I would be really leery about trying to date on. Facebook is on here, but this is not talking about the Facebook dating section that was released, I think, last fall. I don't have any data or information on that, but people that are messaging on Messenger just all of a sudden, where somebody just pops in and says, hey, you're cute, or hey, you got big eyes, is that people will just kind of come into your Messenger and just start talking to you like that. Those are the kind of things that I think are more prone towards possibly being a catfish kind of thing. Again, it can be very innocent. So again, consider it a red flag. So some of these sites, again, they like to have sites that they can hide their identity, and some of these sites help to kind of make that happen. Plenty of Fish is a dating site, but catfishers love it. So I don't know the ins and outs of why, other than it really seems to be a site that you can kind of just, put fake pictures on, and there's no little checks and balances or anything like that. So what site do I recommend? I am a big fan of Bumble, and the reason for that is that they have a no catfishing policy, and what they do is they will basically fact check the profile to make sure it's who they really are. I think it's like a photo verification method, and they put on their website that is something that they have live people doing. So I don't know for sure how long that takes to go through that process, but if I were to start off in dating all over again today, that's probably one of them that I would give a lot of consideration for. Tinder has also come out with a nice little safety feature. It's like a GPS locator kind of thing, so that's something that you want to maybe also consider. Special note about dating sites is not a single dating site that's out right now, at least that I'm aware of. So if you know of some, there might be some like specialty ones that will do that. But most of the general ones on the market, especially the ones by Match Group, do not background check their members. And so you could be talking to anybody. You can even come up with a social profile that seems compelling enough, and then that like feeds into this kind of dating site, and it could be a scam. So remember that if you are considering sending money, you are considering, dating somebody long distance where you're not going to be able to meet in person very much, it would probably be really good to do a background check. And remember that catfishing happens both on and off dating sites. So you want to have lots of redundancies in place to help keep yourself safe. But consider the Bumble feature and that new Tinder feature and other features that could come into play. So let's go into now talking about the well-hidden schemes. So these are techniques that catfishers will use in order to hide themselves. So even though you're trying to take care of yourself and research these people, that your research methods could still fail if you're doing the super simple ones that they have on like the TV shows and stuff. So the first one I wanted to share with you is Telegram, which is basically it's a self-destruct messaging system. So people who are going to be kind of sketchy are going to use Telegram. because they don't want a paper trail of any of their conversations. And scammers will meet up on places like Reddit, then they'll go to places like an app like Telegram, talk about their strategy or talk about what to say and do all of that. And they're training younger catfishers how to grow up and be clever scams one day. And this is ridiculous. This should not be happening when you're trying to date online. You don't need to have that kind of drama. Okay, the next one on the list is VPN Gate. VPN is a way for people to hide their address. So your computer has a little number attached to it called an IP address. And it's just like your house address. And this IP address will tell, a computer where in the world you're from. So if you're trying to talk to somebody, and let's say that you think you're talking to somebody in Texas, they could have this VPN thing, and then it may show that they're really in Maine, or it could be somebody way across the country who is trying to act like they're in a war in Afghanistan. And again, where are they at really? They could be Singapore or wherever else. So remember that if you do an IP address, that can actually be a reverse search, just like the image searches we were talking about, is you can look up somebody's IP address. And so remember that that IP address, even though you might go in and you find out the IP address, is that they could be using VPN Gate. So you can't use that technique alone. Moving on, this is the one that I found really shocking, is fake camera app. So one of the easy techniques I found that people are talking about a lot is just video chat. Oh, video chat, you'll figure it out. It'll eliminate just about all catfishers. Well, when I was researching the catfishers, what I found is they had a way around that, and that's this fake camera app. So if you have your phone and you're trying to talk to somebody, let's say that we're just using Facebook Messenger, for instance, and we connect our phone through that and it accesses our camera and then it goes through Messenger, right? The same thing with some of the dating sites is they will have that kind of system set up where it'll use your camera phone and then connect through the app. So this fake camera app becomes the replacement camera. And so even though the app is trying to only use the real camera on the phone to verify that this is, like a real person and everything, this fake camera app will then play a pre-recorded video. Isn't that crazy? Like, they can take this fake camera app, and then instead of connecting you to the call, makes you think that you're talking to somebody live, but it's actually the pre-recorded video. So how do they get away with that? So what happens is they'll have a group of people they're working with together, and they'll have friends who may be the actresses. So even though you have this live video that might even seem like it's that person you're talking to in real life, even though the phone cuts off or some other issue comes up where the phone's not going to work, it gets cut off, and then you have your proof that you talked to the real person. Except it's pre-recorded. So they'll have friends that they'll work with, and so they'll have somebody. So let's say that you decided, I want you to hold up today's newspaper and a $5 bill. And so they'll have somebody record that for you. They'll do that, and because it's pre-recorded, you think you're talking to you don't realize that you're thinking you're talking to somebody that's like live in the moment. So what you can do to hack that is, even though you're asking them to do these kind of weird things and it seems authentic, is make sure it's in the moment. So when we're talking to somebody on camera that's live, is that they're going to do something in response to what we're doing, right? So hold up the newspaper, the $5 bill, and do the hokey pokey. Well, is if you're adding the layers of difficulty and changing the challenge, they can't pre-record all of that. And so that's how you're going to kind of catch those kind of things. They'll probably ghost you after that, so beware. So again, you want to kind of confirm that this is a real moment when you're using the video checks. Photoshopping, we talked about earlier. Photoshopping, they can take a picture, take out the background, change the hair color, and then whenever you do the image search to see if this photo has ever been found online to other profiles, then it's, scam the system. So, so just remember that you have to really kind of, look out for that kind of thing. All right, and then the last trick on here that I have is Whisper, and that's another thing kind of like the Telegram kind of services where it's a secret messaging app. And again, these are groups of people that are getting together, as a team, and they're catfishing you using these kind of hidden messaging systems. So my top tip for trying to get around these scams is don't trust a story until it's been verified. One of the things that people are going to try to use against you is they're going to say, oh, you don't trust me? We have so much together. I can't believe you're not going to believe me. I mean, and then they're going to make you feel like, you're the one that's kind of lost it. But the truth is that these are people who are scamming you. So if they get mad because you want to verify identity, that's not the kind of person you deserve. So please, please don't buy stories. And if they try to act like, you're not trusting and there's something wrong with you for wanting to do a background check or wanting to just get some sort of proof of identity, talking to a friend, verifying employment, then, that's not a situation that's safe for you to be in. So remember, trust is not a feeling. No matter how much somebody tries to say, I don't feel like you trust me, don't buy into those attacks, because trust isn't a feeling. It's a behavior that's earned. So I will give my trust to you when you have proven, that you are trustworthy. And hopefully my partner's going to do the same for me, is they're going to verify I'm trustworthy, not just believing every little thing I say. So, again, when you are talking to somebody and you don't have the ability to connect with them in real life, you're going to need some sort of proof to make sure that you're not getting scammed. Okay, so for next steps to learn more from me is today is the 5th of February, and for today only, I am giving you a discount to my online dating quick start guide that's released today. It's priced at $89. So if you're watching this video today, then I'm going to post below the video a 25% off discount that is valid until midnight. So February 5th until midnight, you can get 25% off the course. And if you upgrade to the Love Hub, the Love Hub is a private Facebook group where you're going to get my kind of live help. I'm going to do videos like this, and then I'm going to be in the group helping you guys with your profiles, with wording. If you think you might be in a catfish situation, of course, I'm definitely going to help you out with any of that kind of stuff. And if you stay in the group, you can use that for any course down the road. So it's a one-time add-on, and then you get to use it for all other courses that'll be launched down the road. And these will be for all phases of love, with the online dating quick start guide as my first one. But my next courses down the road are going to be for couples. So stay tuned, and as you grow in your life in love, you'll be able to grow here with me. So get your 25% off discount. And anybody who messages me in Messenger today, if you watch this video and you want to be entered into the raffle, since I wasn't able to get into the group to, text back and forth to get your questions answered live, I'm going to allow anybody who is seeing this today, message me today, and here's what I'm going to give you. The very first person who messages me that they want the raffle is going to get a free 30-minute strategy session on all things online dating or love. So if you're not somebody who is getting in on the course and you just want to use that because you took your time out of your day today to spend it with me for a little bit, then you can get in on that too. So anybody who watches this video today gets in on the raffle, and the very first person who messages, though, is going to get that free 30-minute session, and everybody else gets the 25% off the course. So thank you again for taking time out of your day. I really appreciate that, and I hope to see you around online.